Welcome all to day 8 of the Christmas month advent calendar. Now, before we crack on with today's video, a really quick disclaimer. The choices and opinions that me and Kaylee made throughout this video were purely based on the situation of COVID-19 around the time period of July through to October. Please keep that in mind. Oh well, on with the video. Welcome everyone to mine and Kaylee's video, how to buy a house in a pandemic. So in this video I'm going to be talking you through our process, how we bought the house, choices that we made, and kind of just, talk you through that really. So it all started on the 12th of May 2020 where we had an affordability check. Now this was where we met up with our mortgage advisor, and we did like, I think it was a Zoom. Was it through Zoom? Skype. Okay, through Skype, and she asked us a lot of personal questions, a lot of things to do with employment, banking stuff, and she drew up these drafts which kind of told us what we can and can't afford, basically.
Like potentially what houses to go and look at, like the price bracket.
Yeah. So I think she gave us one that was a bit above our budget, and then one that was just a little bit under. And was looking at like APR rates, then also different deposit percentages and stuff. So that was pretty cool. So that's where it all started.
What she did say though was we wouldn't be able to get 5% because due to the pandemic, all the banks had took all the 5% deposits off, and then now they wanted 10. So we literally had to double the deposit.
So that was quite interesting. So if you are trying to save, and
now it's 15%. It's got worse.
Oh, okay. Now that things are worsened, it makes it a lot harder. But don't make the same mistake kind of we did, because it can be tricky finding money elsewhere. So I guess we were lucky in terms of how I was able to do that.
So on the 26th of June, we booked our first house viewing. I can't actually remember which house was that.
Oh, so you mean the first one that we actually booked to see, not the first one we viewed?
No.
Right, that's why we're getting confused. So the first one that we actually viewed was
a 2-bed.
It was a 2-bed. I think it had a little conservatory attached to it, but it was very
tiny.
Yeah, it was very small. We wanted something a little bit more spacious. I mean, I think there was about 3 people living there. 2 older.
Even the bedroom was tiny.
Yeah, they were pretty small, and it did look like it also needed a lot of work doing to it to put our own kind of taste. So, I mean, the only issue was because that was the first one that we viewed.
We didn't know what to.
Yeah, we had nothing to
compare it.
Compare it to. And then the second house on the same day
was
this beautiful house. Out of all the houses that we viewed, there was 2 houses that...
Well, we didn't even view the other one.
Okay, we never got a chance to view the other one, yeah. There was another one that we really wanted that had... It was very similar. I mean, it looked a lot different.
It was like this, but just an extra bedroom.
Yeah, so it had an extra bedroom in it, so... And it was around the same price bracket. But then it came to...
You booked the viewing and then realised you were at work.
Oh, yeah. So I had to change it. I had to cancel it and change it to another day.
And then it sold.
And then, it sold.
So
it sold
the reason we didn't get that house was Adam's fault.
Yeah, my fault. Oh well. We've got a good one. We've got a good house. We've got a good egg.
When she did the affordability check, on the same day that we had the first viewing was when the decision in principle was approved.
So, do you want to tell what my decision in principle is?
A decision in principle is a written indication from a bank or building society stating how much it might be prepared to lend you. So with all like the information like that she took on the affordability check, she asked the bank that we earn this much, we pay out this much a month, how much would they be willing? Because even if, say we had a price bracket in mind that we wanted to look at, they could be offering one that's, for example, £50,000 more. But you don't have to go for that.
No.
It just says that's the maximum they would be able to borrow you, but you can look at whatever you want up to that, really.
Yeah. So, and there were 3 banks that we were looking at. One of them was a well-known bank, but the rate of applications was that high. They said it was
because they were doing, I think they were the only ones doing 5%.
Yeah, they were. So that was the only 5% bank that there was. And then there was 2 others that we hadn't really heard of. One of them was more expensive than the other, so we kind of went for the cheaper of the two, and luckily it came back. But yeah, once the decision in principle was actually accepted, we were then in a place to make our first offer and stuff on a house.
Because some of the estate agents, when you book a viewing, they always said to you, do you have a decision in principle? Obviously, because once again, due to the pandemic, you weren't allowed to go and view houses. So you had to be serious about buying a house before they show you around, really.
Yeah. Couldn't just do it willy-nilly.
No.
But yeah, it wasn't actually, on the 2nd of July was the day which was supposed to be viewing our last house, which was the house that we really wanted. And as Kaylee's already said, that day we were meant to view it, they rang me up, the estate agents, at 10 o'clock that morning to say it had sold.
We're supposed to be going at like 5, weren't we?
Yeah, we were supposed to go in that evening, but it had already sold. And at which point, I messaged Kaylee, I was telling her that it had gone, and she was like, no! And 5 seconds later, all I got was, put an offer in on that other house, now! We made our first offer on the house. Now, it got rejected pretty quickly. We did go £10,000 under the asking price, but then we offered a second time, and they said no. But at that point, there was also another woman who was interested, and she offered
the asking price.
She offered the asking price, and we offered, I think, 3,000, I think it was, under the asking price. And then they accepted with us. Obviously, they knew we were first-time buyers and everything.
That's probably wrong. And then on the 4th of July, our mortgage advisor wanted to start applying for the mortgage. So we had to, obviously, mortgage advisors, they charge a fee. I think they're between like £200 and £500 for your standard mortgage advisor. And they do everything for you. They obviously do your decision in principle, apply for your mortgage, and ours did all our insurances as well. So we literally didn't have to do anything really. So on that day, on the 4th of July, we had to pay her their fee and for her to be able to apply for the mortgage. So she wanted like actual details this time, and it weren't an estimate. This was like, it's like the decision in principle again, but it would have to be accurate this time. It couldn't be an estimate.
No, yeah, it had to be like 100% accurate.
Yeah, so we had to send proof of ID, so like driving licence, passport, 3 months bank statement, and 3 months wage slips as well. We had to get all that sorted. She did that, and the company that we did go for, she had to literally rush this application through because this was like 6 o'clock she was doing it. At 9 p.m. that night, they were withdrawing their 10% deposits. So then because they were one of the last ones to do that. So after that, it would have been 15%. It had gone from a 5% to a 10% to a 15%.
To be honest, if it was a 15%, I don't think we'd be able to do it.
No.
Because we'd literally need
10% more than what we've got.
Yeah. So
triples what we were willing to pay.
Exactly so. So on the 6th of July was the day that we had to pick our solicitor. There's a lot of different solicitors that you can kind of pick from, but there was one that was recommended because they kind of partnered with them. Yeah. And they've been great throughout. We've had no issues at all with them.
Bit slow.
They worked within the time frames which we were given. Response, though, could have probably been a bit better. Not response, communication.
We picked a solicitor originally, and this was the date that the mortgage advisor was applying for the mortgage. Obviously, I told her which ones we were going to go for. She rang me and she was like, this was obviously before the deadline, where they were taking the 10% off. She was like, I've got a problem with your solicitor. She says, I can't remember if it was the mortgage place or the estate agents didn't work with that solicitor. So I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? Because obviously we were running out of time. She just said, oh, well, the ones that the estate agent used, they're cheaper. I said, we'll just go with them then. We put the offer in on the 2nd of July. So for 4 days, this house was still on Rightmove. And people could still go and view it. Even though the offer had been accepted, people could go and view it. People could still put offers in because they wouldn't take it off the market until we'd got our solicitor in place.
Yeah.
So that was annoying because every time you looked, we knew it was sold, but it was still for sale.
But then the minute it went up and said sold, there was much more of a kind of relief.
So on that day as well, so when she applied for the mortgage, we had to decide what, not type, but length and APR and all that. So I think we did ours over
35 years on a 5-year fixed rate.
Yeah.
Once the fixed rate fluctuates up. I mean, obviously your monthly payments do increase, but it works out a bit better.
It was cheaper than I thought it would be, because this weren't even the cheapest mortgage, obviously, because that one, the mortgage advisor was saying by the time we'd got the application in, it's taken them that long to process them all. She said we would have probably lost the house.
Yeah.
So we decided to go with like the middle one, and that's still cheaper than I thought it was going to be.
So on the 13th of July, I took a trip out to the office where our solicitors were. I paid the solicitor deposit. This was kind of just to secure them solicitors, but then to also get the ball going with all the legal documentation, the house searches and all that type of stuff.
They wanted all ID and stuff as well.
And then we had to give them more. I mean, a lot of it was all the same, but then they wanted some other stuff as well. There was like some consent forms and stuff that we had to fill out as well.
Declarations.
Yeah, declaration forms. And then once that was done, that was the first section of the whole process done. Selected it and we had secured everything in, basically. The next bit was just a waiting game, really, for all the things to come through. Now that that was done, we was ready to view the house again, just kind of look at it in a bit more detail, start making design choices, looking at things that might need doing up. So Kaylee booked another second viewing with her mum for the 18th of July. I think I was working that day, so I wasn't actually able to view it. Either that or I refused to go. I can't remember.
And then on the 20th of July, I got an email from the mortgage advisor, and she said that the mortgage place would have to do a valuation of the house just to see if the price we'd offered, if they thought it was worth it, and see if they'd lend us the money. So they made an appointment for that, and then I asked her about reports and stuff. And
surveying.
Yeah, surveys. Yeah, because they was doing a standard one, but it didn't literally look at anything. It was just going to come and say, oh yeah, that's nice, that's worth that price.
They literally just drive past the house and look, will it still stand?
Yeah, but I wanted them to look at things. She had to cancel that appointment because that was quite quick. She booked it and it was going to be for the next week. And then I said, I want a home buyer's report done, really. So that's the more in-depth one. But we had to pay a fee for that. When she booked that, it was for a month later.
27 days in front.
Yeah, because they rang me and they was like, oh, we booked the home buyer's report for the...
It was literally a week. It was a week. It was a week after we asked.
Like I said, is that the earliest you can do it? Because we're literally going to be sat here now for a month not doing anything.
That was it. That was, out of the whole process, that was the bit where everything just stopped. It just stopped dead. Nothing went forward. I mean, think of it like this. There was 4 little pathways. You had one main pathway that is start to end, buying the house. Then you've got a lot of little pathways that go off for added extras. Your reports, your surveying, your home insurance, life insurance. So all of those were going on, but the main path was just an obstacle that got in the way.
So obviously when we booked the home buyer report and paid the fee, 2 days after that, so the 22nd of July, the solicitor said that they'd received the contract and the contract pack, and that she'd booked the searches, so the water, is it in a flood area, and yeah, so she sent us out some more paperwork, which was literally about that thick.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was like a dictionary.
That we had to go through. That didn't really affect us, that part.
No.
It's just what she'd received. Yeah, so the home buyer report was carried out on the 19th of August. And then the 20th of August we got the mortgage offer accepted. So that was quite a relief, really, because we knew at least the house was worth it, and we'd got the money for it. We had
we had a bit of reassurance.
Yeah.
And
then the next day we got the home buyer's report. And it was literally I thought to myself, has he gone to the same house? Because everything was in red.
No, not everything.
Well,
the big things.
The majority of things were in red, and if not, they were in amber. It was spot the green.
But it kind of worried us at first, made us panic, because we had no experience with this, so we didn't really know what to expect.
We were literally just thinking, how much is that going to cost?
Yeah, when we read it, it came across like it was going to cost a good few thousand.
It came across like if you touched the house, it would fall down. Everybody as well kept saying, they always make it worse than it is. Because if something went wrong, and we said, well, why didn't you pick that up? It's like, they've got no leg to stand on, So they had to make everything sound worse than it was.
But then luckily, we got someone in who looked at it and he gave us a quote and he said it wasn't that bad, which was all good. So then September came around, 10th of September, and the contract arrived. Now, the contract obviously was the most important part because it talked about everything.
What they were leaving.
Yeah. That had the searches in as well.
Yeah, the searches, the boundaries, who owned the fences.
A lot of the stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think about, but were very important. Yeah. That came back and that was fine. Yeah. Nothing. I mean, we found out weirdly that the garage had been there since the house was built, and we thought it was not really an extension, but an outbuilding that they had built. But it turns out it wasn't. Same with the conservatory as well. So it was quite interesting that. Oh, I also found out that we're in a clean air zone, which apparently means
you can't have a bonfire.
Yeah, I mean, you can't use smoke fuels or something. It says you can use smokeless fuels. So things like coal on a barbecue. You just can't burn wood or paper. 4 days later, on the 14th, we then signed the contracts and the mortgage offer. As part of this, we needed what's called a witness. We got one of Kaylee's friends to witness us signing them, and then they had to sign it as well. And then we sent the document. No, we didn't send it off. Did we send it off?
I emailed it over, I think.
That was kind of it, and it was literally a waiting game.
She had to chase them a lot.
Yeah. No, it wasn't them. So the way the house worked, we should have probably talked about this a bit earlier on, but the house was in a mini chain.
A
three-person chain. They had us, they had the owners of this house that we're in now, and then they had the owners of the house which they were going to move into.
That owner was moving into an empty house.
So the start of the chain were a little bit slow with their solicitors and stuff, so there's a lot of back and forth between them. I mean, we were completely fine. We literally got everything done really quickly, but it was waiting for those. But eventually, they managed to get something from them, and then the moving in date was decided, which we'll come on to in a sec. A little bit before that, though, on the 21st of September, what happened?
The mortgage advisor, again, said that you probably want to look at life insurance and income protection and all that, on home insurance as well, because that was one of the requirements of our mortgage is we had to have home insurance, buildings and contents.
Yeah, there's a lot of different criteria that we had to meet for us to be able to get us that mortgage.
So she sent me out an application form for these life and home insurance, and I literally had no idea what I was filling in.
It was a lot. It was literally like reading a dictionary in a foreign language.
Yeah.
There was so many big words, so many complicated things. So we had to kind of get a bit of clarification on what was what, but
we did it eventually.
We completed
the home insurance was the easiest bit.
Yeah. So then on the 23rd of September, this was probably one of the best days that we had because our provisional moving in date was
the 9th.
Was given out, and it was the 9th of October.
We had to chase them again because they were literally saying because lockdown 2 was looming, we didn't want to delay it anymore because we literally not heard anything.
Eventually, when that all was done, they did confirm that date, the 9th of October, and that was on the 28th of September. Once that was done, we was then in a position to pay the deposit.
So the next thing to do was exchange contracts, but they couldn't do that, apply to exchange them until we paid the deposit. So we had to close the Help to Buy ISAs as well.
I think that was it was 28 days.
28 days before, yeah. So we had to because we did the Help to Buy scheme for the deposit, not for the mortgage. We had to close that, and then we had to fill in a declaration form.
To claim the 25% from the government.
So then we had to give her that form when the bank sent it us, and she had to apply for it. And then we had to pay what was left to the solicitor. We
saved all that money up for over years and years, and then it just went
in 5 seconds.
But we secured this beautiful place, so oh well. And then once that deposit was paid, we was in a position really just to complete it.
Yeah, so she exchanged the contracts on the 7th of October. So that's when she paid the deposit, and then from there nobody back out.
Could do anything.
The house was ours on the 7th of October. But then completion date was the 9th of October.
Yeah, so then 2 days after all that, I mean, I remember the 9th of October, I went to my nan's house that day, and I was paging up and down. I think my phone battery went from 100 to 5% in about half an hour.
You were so grumpy that day.
Because I was ringing, I had your mum ringing me, you was working, I was off work, because I got that booked off for the provisional day. Kay was doing a half day. I had my mum ringing me, I had to ring the solicitor several times. Then I had to ring the owners because obviously once it was all completed, we had to
Picking up
picking up the keys and everything. So yeah, there was a lot of, I wouldn't call it faffing around, but there was a lot of.
Adam doesn't cope very well in stressful situations. He gets a bit flappy.
It came that day. Luckily, Dan was on. We weren't at uni at that point. He gave me an hand. We we had boxes and boxes from IKEA, tons of things crammed into my car.
I know. The first day you get your keys, you're supposed to come, have a look round, clean it. Adam were moving in that 5 minutes after we'd got keys.
Yeah, but
emptying his car.
I had tables, cabinets, everything that were flat packed was in my car because it was bugging me. I mean, we stored it all in the garage until we came, and then you probably saw the vlog where we moved in and we gave you the house tour and stuff, and that was pretty cool. But that's kind of it. That is our discussion on how to buy a house in a pandemic, our journey. Hope you've all enjoyed it. If you've got any questions that you want to know about buying a house or anything to do with our process that you want a bit more detail on, comment down below, subscribe if you're brand new, and see you all very soon in another Advent Calendar video. Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.